Hi friends, welcome back to ARC Tutorials. This is HTML full tutorial series for absolute beginners. In the last episode, we started learning about HTML forms. I gave you a little bit of a theoretical explanation of what forms are, what its capabilities are, etc. And we also did a simple form which looks like this today, but I promise we will enhance it, make it more powerful, make it look more good. But before that, we need to learn form attributes. What are form attributes? They go with the form and are absolutely important, especially if you are a beginner who is learning. This is part 23 of the series. Make sure that you go through the previous episodes in order to learn and master HTML with me. Alright, so let's talk about the form attributes. There are top 10 attributes that forms can take. Now what are attributes? Let's look at the code. Right now the form doesn't have any attributes. Attributes are the extra parameters that we pass along with the tags in order to pass some information or tell what to add the behavior. So there are top 10 attributes of forms that you should know. The first and the important thing is the action. Action tells where the data should be submitted when user clicks on the submit button. Now in this case we are telling there is a submit form, but on click where it should go and submit this data. That's what action tells. The next is the method. Method is nothing but it tells how the data should be posted, whether it is get or post. I'll tell you the difference as we progress, but today understand that there is a attribute by the name method which will take either get or post. Then there is also NC type which tells how the form should be encoded. Then there is target which means specifying the browser context whether the form response will be displayed. Whether you want it in a new window, whether you want it open it in the same tab. You can also specify autocomplete which means whether we should allow the forms to be auto-filled based on the user's input. We can add no validate which means it will not do any validation for that particular form. One of the most common things that we give is a name attribute. That means you will assign a name to the form which is useful for identifying and manipulating the form using JavaScript. So remember these are some of the commonly used and I would say most commonly used attributes when you use with forms, right? So I'm going to show few in the hands-on. Let's get started. So we have the form that we created in the last episode. It's nothing but a simple form. It has some elements in it. Now the first thing you should know is always give a name to your form. All right. Now let's call this login form. Okay. You are giving an attribute by the name and giving a value to it. Next, you can give action. Action, I told you, is the URL of the page where you want to send the data. Most likely, this will be an API or a backend endpoint. For now, I'm saying it should go to test.html. That's the action. That means when user submits, it should go to test.html. Now, the next is a method, which means either you can use a get or a post. In most likely cases, if the data is sensitive, always use post, okay, because it's hidden in the browser. Now sometimes in the action you can also specify the same file name like the one here. It's submitting to itself, right, in the same form, or it can be any other file. All right, so these are the three things that we have seen. There is also read, area read only, or you can also specify no validate. No validate, that means it will not do any validation in the form right now because we added that attribute. Same way we can add read only and it would be a read only form. Let's go ahead and see that. So now when you enter, it should be area read only, but for now let's go ahead and submit the form and you see it is going to test.html, right? This is a page we built as part of the live website. So see here, now I have given that test.html. So when I submit this form, it is going to test.html, right? That's number one. Now for the individual fields, you can write read only. Now see this input, it's enabled, but now we can disable. See, you start typing anything, it will not work because it's read only. Okay, so that's another thing. Now today what you're learning is the form attributes, so stick with it because in the next episode I'm covering all the input details in complete action and detail with hands-on. So to recap, form will have attributes: name, action, method, no validate. You can also add type. This is the type of encoding that we will use. Now you can use application x www form encoded, so you'll encode the form, or you can use it as a plain text, or you can use it as a form data. In most cases it would be like 80%, I would say, would be multi-part form data because you are submitting the data there. All right, so those are the different attributes that this particular form will take. So go ahead, add all these attributes to your forms. Do let me know if you have any doubts or any queries in these things. I'll be more than happy to help you. The last thing I'll show you is the autocomplete. Now here you see options are off and on. That means when we enable on, by default it is on, or you can set it to off. All right, now when I disable it, the form will not be auto filled, but when you disable it as on, if that data is saved in your browser, you can auto fill that particular details. All right, so those are the important form attributes that everybody should know, especially as a beginner. You should be knowing all these things because in real-time application you will require all of this. Alright, so that's all for today. Like I said, we are continuing to learn form in the next two episodes. So in the next episode, we will learn about the HTML input elements. Input elements are extremely crucial, extremely important, especially when you're working and building. You should know what are the different types of inputs you can build, etc. Right? Thank you so much for joining in this episode. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you. Bye.